All right, I'm here with American record holder in the Javelin, Kara Winger. More importantly for this weekend, she was the flight coordinator. That's the official title?
Yes, flight coordinator.
She was the flight coordinator for every competition here at Town Ramona, where we had the Ramona World Invitational. Mykolas Alekna broke the world record again. Val Allman went number 5 in world history. Kara, you were up close and personal to see it all. How are you feeling after this week?
I'm sleepy, I'm thirsty, but most of all, I'm just really happy to have facilitated opportunities for not just those 2 record breakers, but every athlete on this field this weekend.
Absolutely. There were, those 2 were kind of the headliners, but there were so many crazy performances, and not just in the discus. Ramona, it's not just a place to throw disc really far. We can bring good fields here, get some good competitions going in the other events as well. But we will start the way we, closed out. We're not technically closed out because the flights got switched around a little bit. We'll start with the men's discus, which happened this afternoon, where for the second year in a row, Mykolas Alekna broke the world record. This time it was his own record. He went 74.89 on the first throw, and I could tell something big was. It's not like it's a bold prediction to say Mykolas Alekna was going to throw far.
Yeah.
But one of his warm-ups clipped the edge of the net right there. This is the world record ring, by the way. Once again, one of his warm-ups clipped the edge of the net, turned 90 degrees, was flying like this about 30 meters in, and still went about 72 or something.
Oh my God.
So I knew something big was happening. But when you were, up here calling everyone's names out, you're calling out history again.
Yeah. So I officiated last year as well, and I will tell you that the vibes this year were so different than in 2024. First of all, we had 4 distinct men's discus competitions. The A flight with Mykolas, with Matthew Denny, with Sam Mattis. That podium was the bronze level meet, was the bronze World Athletics Invitational. That was the discus invitational of this weekend. So last year it was 3 flights, 1 competition, therefore 30 plus people in the competition, and 21-year-old Mykolas Alekna broke the world record after hours and heat and so many stops to recertify discuses and all of that stuff. And for me, in 2024, the world record that he set of 74.35 was so insane because of the mental thing that he had to pull up after so many hours of waiting and so many stops and starts. And this year was so different because it was just boom, 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 immediate world record, and then another world record. So the series was super different. The vibes were super different. It was much more efficient, much more high pressure, and he still stepped up to it. Incredible.
Yeah, and just coming the setup for this competition was just so interesting because last year, it was kind of clear Mykolas was, the top dog in the field, coming off his silver medal in Budapest. And then he had opened at 71.39 about a week before. So we knew something big was in store. But then this year, it felt I don't know, I still thought Mykolas had it, but there was a lot of momentum for Matty Denny. He'd thrown here twice in the last week, 72.07 on Sunday, a week ago from today. And then on Thursday night, 74.25. Oh, so close to taking that world record. And was it a little more tense here at the beginning because it was a little more competitive than we were expecting it to be last year?
It absolutely felt like the nerves were higher, and it's really fun for me as a former athlete to be the official that can see people staying in their own lane, staying in their own tension and adapting to the changes that are happening around them. It's my greatest hope as an official to be the one that absorbs all the stress so the athletes can do whatever they need to do. And Matty and Mykolas both are absolute professionals at that. So the thing about Matthew Denny today, after this was his 3rd event in a row over 72 meters on the 2025 season, 74.48 would have been a world record if Mykolas had not improved it before Matthew got in the ring for his 5th round today.
Yeah.
But the way that Matty came in with that momentum, maybe let those nerves get the best of him a little bit early and then worked himself out of it anyway, was super impressive to me. So he's had this huge week. He had all these expectations coming in. Then Mykolas breaks the world record right in front of him, and he still throws 74.48 with 3 other attempts over 72 in the series. That's amazing.
Yeah,
He'll have more in the tank for sure.
Yeah, his first round, where the first round difference is Denny goes 65.4. Mykolas goes 74.89. So it's like immediately like a mouth punch to Matty Denny, and he just responded so well. Like you said, in round 5, 74.78. It's half a meter further than anyone not named, over half a meter further than anyone not named Mykolas Alekna has ever thrown. And so, it's got to be bittersweet for him, because it was coming into this one, you knew the world record was on the line.
Yeah.
And it was like those two guys are just going to be duking it out for it. And, I talked to Matty a little after. He did say, like, he's got to be, he's the only person, other than Mykolas, to ever throw that far. But, like, he's got to be the only person to ever throw the second best mark in history and really be like that disappointed after the competition.
Absolutely. And as an athlete, that's what you want. You want that little edge for yourself moving forward. But Matty has a lot of whys this season. And if you follow him on Instagram, you know a little bit of that story. So to watch him do what he's done so far this season and overcome the nerves that I know he had coming into this competition with that series, like, he just has to take so much good away from it. It's not like this is the first time he's ever been disappointed with phenomenal results. He's somebody that's been 4th on major championship finals so many times, too many times, and he finally got that Olympic bronze medal last year. So that momentum in and of itself was really cool to see him do really well with in this season really early. But yeah, the stress was definitely there, you could tell. And when you are 22 years old, Mykolas Alekna, and you really step up and deal with it early, that's incredible. But for Matty Denny to do what he did, and for the rest of the field to do what they did, was really, really incredible. So.
Yeah, Mykolas he always just seems so cool under pressure. I guess, like, it's not just the marks he's thrown, but also, like, he has 3 global championship medals. I think maybe his most impressive accomplishment to me was the fact when in Munich 2022, when he won the European title, as I think pretty sure he was 19 then. So he's just built different, kind of.
Mm-hmm. We won silver medals at the same World Championships. He was 19, I was 36. So that was the beginning of his career and the end of mine. And it's just a joy to see him continue to grow. And it's absolutely, I'm in awe as much as the rest of the world is, for sure. But like, the rest of this competition was insane also.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had Sam Mattis finish 3rd, 71.27. Like, before Town Ramona was conceived by Caleb Seal and Don Milligan, like, 71.27, losing a competition, period, would be just absurd. Now finishing 3rd? Like, so Sam, he's now the 2nd best American in history after he had broke 70 for the first time on Thursday. Sam's just like one of the best guys there is. He's just been so consistent. He's made, I think, every U.S. team maybe since Doha, I want to say.
That sounds right.
He's been just so consistent, and it's really fun to see him get a mark like this, where, maybe this can lead to bigger things, maybe getting the U.S. back on that international discus podium, which we've been missing for a while now.
I agree, and Sam is one of my personal inspirations. He spent like 6-7 years, I think, not throwing a personal best, and then 2-3 years ago in Tucson, he threw 68 meters. This season, he's PR'd thrice.
Yeah.
So far, 68 plus, 70 meters on Thursday, 71.27 today. Only 5 centimeters short of that 71.32. Amazing for 3rd place.
Yeah. And then 4th was Clemens Prüfer of Germany, 71.01, which, that's probably like 3rd or 4th on the German all-time list, because Germany is Germany when it comes to the discus.
Quick story. Mika Sasno threw 70.05 on Thursday, and we were at dinner, and I said, "What's the German record?" And then I stopped her and was like, "Wait, Jürgen shut me up."
I was interviewing Mika today, and I forgot what Clemens had thrown, and I was like, "You're the 5th best German in history." And he's like, "I'm the 6th now," after about an hour ago. Yeah. Then Lawrence Okoye
wanted that 71. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Lawrence Okoye, 70.76, first British man over 70 meters.
Also had not PR'd since 2002.
He hadn't PR'd in 13 years. I think it would be 13 years in like July, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Guy after my own heart. I spent 12 years without a personal best, so I said, "Lawrence, you're my hero today." Amazing.
And then just closing out this top 8 in the A flare, the invitational meet, you had Henrik Janssen, also of Germany, 69.94, so close to 70. Claudio Romero, 69.65, huge PB from him. And then Frederick Dakers closed out at 66.33. Some other highlights from the other flights, the men's discus. You had Mauricio Ortega go 69, which is, he threw 70 in 2020, South American record, still standing. This is his best throw since then. He's been working at Garage Strength with Dane Miller and them for a little bit, so really good to see him kind of get back in this kind of shape.
The Garage Strength mojo is so strong here in Ramona. Every single year so far, Alex Rose was kind of the one to put Town Ramona on the map with his first Oceania record that Maddie Denny now holds at 74.48 based on today. But seeing Dane Miller just bear hug his athletes after those good throws, it's just immediately obvious when there's something to be celebrated. So even if it's not a personal best, it's a really significant moment in that athlete's life, and to see that come to life in person is really fun.
Absolutely. And then, we said that the Invitational flight actually went. Then there was another flight after, and that flight, they had a big show to follow up, and they delivered pretty well. Mykolas Alekna, like we said, went 70.01 after going 70.05 on Thursday night, breaking 70 two times for the first 2 times in his career. And then Steven Richter went 69.61. Just huge marks out of both of those guys.
4 Germans over 69.60 today in Ramona, Oklahoma.
I would not want to be a German discus thrower, German championship. So I was talking to Mika, and he said their selection process is top 2 at trials, and then there's a discretionary spot that goes to the national team coach. Mm-hmm. So that battle for those 2 automatic spots, it's going to be some fun discus to watch. It's
wild. We need to look up the top 20 all-time German discus throws and see what that list is like.
Yeah. And then yesterday, the women's competition, we finally got Val Allman out to Ramona, which is, what we were all kind of hoping for after we saw Jaime throw here last year, and she threw 73.09. Val came out 2 weeks ago, very low key. She threw the world lead at Texas Relays. 2 days later, she comes up here, throws 63 something. She said it was her worst mark in 5 or 6 years, I think. She didn't have any of those problems yesterday. She goes 73.52. 5th in world history.
My God.
Clean world record, most likely. But just what a series from her. 6th throw over 70, 69.52 in the first round.
Watching her warm up was super interesting. So as an official, I'm standing over there. There are only 8 women and 8 men each of these flights, so that everyone got 6 throws. That was the whole point in organizing the competition, to put 8 people in each competition so that they had 6 throws in the discus at this place that everyone is looking for, those really, really steep world standards, right? But Val was off on her own. She's throwing a med ball over there. She's just taking her time, sauntering up, all confidence to the discus ring. And then if you watch some of the interviews that she did yesterday, she was talking about she's not a wind thrower. She hasn't really chased it, so she had to figure out how to fly the disc in the warm-ups. And me being a javelin thrower, I don't necessarily know what I'm looking at, but on her first throw, when it got up higher and toward the left sector, I was like, that doesn't look like Valerie Allman. That was weird. She seems to like it. That's cool. And then watching her interviews back, that's exactly what she felt. She's like, I didn't really know what I was doing in warm-ups, and then I figured it out in round 1, and then she could absolutely smash it. But it was so fun to watch everyone celebrate her to be so confident. What I love about Valerie is you can just see how well she understands herself and the throw. And she can repeat it, and she is a master of her craft. So to put it together with the wind was super, super fun. Fifth best all time, 2-meter American record. Yeah. She improved it by more than 2 meters. Wild.
Yeah, but like you said, her knowing herself and her throw so well, and also just that the chemistry she has with Zeb obviously is just the things they do in the discus ring is just so crazy to imagine. And she did say she's got the Ramona bug now. So she said she is planning on coming back here next year. So I'm excited. If this was her kind of uncomfortable with the win, it's scary but very exciting to think about where she might be able to be next year.
Excellent point for sure. I agree completely on the communication between her and Zeb. I have the absolute honor of having officiated not only yesterday's American record for Valerie, but her first career American record at Ironwood in 2020. Oh. It was the day that I tore my ACL for the second time, and I got to officiate her first American record, her first 70-meter effort. So yesterday was really special to share that again, and maybe in the future we'll do it one more time.
Maybe.
Or multiple.
I sure hope so. And then second place in that competition, Loggy, going 70-72, her first time over 70. That was you could tell just by the way that the fans and her competitors around her were reacting to that. Like, Loggie is just such a special person, and knowing everything that happened last year, she goes through a coaching change this off season. Now she comes out kind of low-key over at Florida Relays last week and then smashes her first time over 70. She's still the second best American woman in history. Just it was such a special moment to see, and just I'll probably never forget that moment.
I really loved it from your vantage point, Paul, and from a couple other people that were like further away from the ring. The arms in the air for like both of those 70+ meter athletes yesterday were so fun to see. The community, like the discus love at this Invitational, is I think why the athletes go so far. Like, people just are cheering for each other. The energy is really high, and for Loggie, especially after a disappointing 2024, to see that from her fellow discus throwers was super special. I obviously have to keep that under my hat while I'm officiating, but the support was just so amazing, and her backups with 68 meters on 2 other attempts were huge. After a season that she struggled and didn't make the Olympic team for the second time in a row. But like, the story that the results later, when you watch them back, doesn't really tell is that Loggie threw 70 before Valerie threw 73.52. So Val opening at 69, Loggie responding to that with 70 meters, and then Val responding back is why you have to watch live streams. You have to be here in Ramona to see it happen live, because you might miss the fact that that back and forth was so palpable and cool and just amazing for both of those athletes to respond to each other. Loggie's the second ever American over 70 meters after Val. Incredible.
Yeah, but they might not be the only two for long, because the U.S. had Veronica Fraley in the Invitational section through 68.72, but then in one of the other sections, the actual third best mark of the day was Louisville's Jaden Ulrich going 69.39. That was on her first throw, so she pulled a Mykolas. These collegians like getting it done early. She goes number 3 in American history, number 2 in NCAA history, only behind Jorinda Van Klinken. Just like, she opened really well a couple weeks ago. She threw 66, but this is just such a level up for her.
It's wild. And that was a PR in her season, the 66-meter throw earlier in the year. She went to the Paris Olympics. She was 13th.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Corey Martin, a teammate of mine from back in the day, her Louisville coach. He's a 22-10-meter shot putter. And Jaden is just such a mental giant. At trials, she got third to make that Paris Olympic team in a pretty strong field with some people that really could have made it happen. So she and Veronica Fraley were the 2 collegians on the Olympic team. That's amazing. And then Corey was saying she was disappointed in that 13th finish because she threw pretty well, and she not only was 13th, but she fouled her first 2 throws and then was 13th.
And then
she stepped up at the Olympic Games, right? So I just had a feeling yesterday. I was like, okay, what is the collegiate record? Let me go confirm with Corey before we start this competition. So for her to get out to 69.39 and threaten it was really amazing in round number 1. She's just so powerful and so grounded and consistent. And a comment that I made was, these 4 Americans over 68 meters on one day in the women's discus are such distinct styles. That's super cool. They're all like different body types, different throwing styles, like different human beings that are throwing 68+ meters in the women's discus. When 4 years ago, that wasn't happening. So just quickly, we are a powerhouse in the women's discus.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we might be getting stronger. I know Jaime is trying to become a U.S. citizen. I don't know all the ins and outs of that. I didn't get to talk to Jane this week about it, but the U.S. champs are it's like the same boat the Germans are in on the men's side. U.S. women's discus and the men's discus to some extent too. Like, it's going to be a battle, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. It was just so cool. In the discus here, we have such international presence, but for the women Americans to dominate like they did was super cool. And for Sam to do what he did in the A flight in the men's discus, I really enjoyed it. But other flights too. Robbie O'Tall on the men's side, 268 meters.
Oh, absolutely. That was almost a 4-meter PB for Robbie, which he had thrown here last year. He comes and he PB'd his last 4 throws in a row.
Wow.
It was just building that momentum. So his reaction was just awesome.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And yeah, it was just so special, the 2 days of discus. And I'm glad we got 3 distinct competitions. The organizers, Don Milliken and Caleb Seal, they really wanted to give athletes those 6 attempts to try and get those very steep world championship standards. And many, many of them did between Thursday and Saturday and Sunday on both the men's and women's side. Women's standard 64.50, so not as steep as the men's, but Tokyo 2025 will be.
It's going to be insane.
I also really enjoy, Paul, there is a mental distinction. I want to address the wind. These athletes are such professionals, like they know wind is a factor. That's why they're here. And it's not necessarily always to get that world championship standard, but when you watch the top level athletes, you can see like they understand. They're throwing super far in the wind. They also throw super far in the stadium. So they're just kind of two different things, and it's just incredibly fun and I think good for the sport to see discuses fly incredibly far in Ramona.
Yeah, like I think some people who are just kind of on the outside, they don't understand like that there actually is a skill, like a little bit what Val talked about. Like there are adjustments you need to make to get the wind right here. And if you don't, it can really screw with your throw. But then another thing Val said was like her and Zeb keep, like they have a wind PB, they have a stadium PB, they have a championship PB. And so like I think that's probably not super uncommon. So it's not like the throwers are completely just saying like, oh yeah, I threw 75, 56 in Ramona. Like I'm going to be able to throw that in the National Stadium in Tokyo in September. But it's like, it's fun to watch. Like the furthest discus throw I think I'd seen in person prior to today was, I think it was Claudio Romero, who threw a huge Chilean record in the invitational section of the men's discus at maybe SECs last year. And I think he had thrown like 64 maybe. And so this was just watching a disc sail in the air for 240 plus feet. Like it's really, really cool. And it's a thing that like the momentum this place is gaining just year over year is just so much fun to watch, and I can't wait to see where we'll be at next year.
I agree, and the momentum is happening because more collegiate coaches are adopting Ramona too. So this weekend compared to 2024 edition, Minnesota was here, U.S. Air Force Academy was here, UCLA was here, some Virginia Tech
Florida was here.
Florida was here with Eric Worski and some of his athletes, Cincinnati, Louisville. Like there was just a lot of collegians mixing it up in events that they also need world ranking points to go to these world championships and Olympic games. So their coaches see the value not only of getting those points, getting those big marks, but also mixing it up with professionals at a really high level and seeing how well they fare. And for people like Jaden Ulrich, they did really, really well. But there was a lot of that. Claudio just graduated from LSU.
Yeah. While we're on the topic of collegians, I'll use this to segue into Friday, because I think underrated performance of the meet. Tyria Reed from Houston steps into the women's javelin competition. They needed 3 people to have it be an official competition. I don't think she had ever thrown javelin in her life. She threw 20.01 in round 1, as you announced, a 20-meter PB for her. So really MVP of the whole weekend, I think, to make sure that Rima Odebor, the NCAA record holder, and Jan van Schalkwijk of UCLA, to make sure their marks could count.
Yes, enormous shout out to Tyria Reed. I loved announcing that 20-meter PB in round number 1, and she is a freshman, I believe. She just really stepped up. University of Houston. This has happened all over the world, and I just want to give a call to American javelin throwers on the women's side to come to Ramona. The wind was great. Rima won with 60.03.
Yeah.
Like that is a solid effort for her first professional debut. So yes, Tyria Reed, agree. Absolute MVP. 2 athletes, we combined the javelin. So on the men's side, 2 of the UCLA throwers were not javelin throwers, but because it was combined, they stepped in to just kind of increase the time in the rounds, give their teammate Jana van Schalkwijk of UCLA a little bit more time to breathe and try to get a good result. So lots of MVPs in the javelin, but absolutely Tyria Reed, to your point.
Yeah, and then the men's competition was won by Curtis Thompson, world leader coming off of his big PB at Texas Relays a couple weeks ago. He throws 81.97. The javelin, it's such a light implement. Like, can you talk to us a little bit about how the wind can affect the javelin? Is there a point where wind can help a javelin, or is it always just kind of messing it up?
Typically, a headwind a little bit for women is what I prefer. Men tend to like a little bit of a tailwind. Last year, for the javelin at Town Ramona for the bronze meet, we had a left to right tailwind or crosswind on the javelin runway, which is not ideal for right-handed throwers. So if you are a right-handed thrower, the javelin's going to come off your fingers. You are going to release it from underneath the grip, so it will spin clockwise. So a right to left wind goes under the implement and speeds up the rotation, which can help it fly. But a direct head or a direct tailwind is better. A left to right slows down the rotation of a right-handed thrower's throw and is not great. So last year was tough, and I think that's what happened with registrations for Javelin this year. This year it was like a little bit of a right to left, which is better. So Curtis is also a mental giant. Like, he is phenomenal in terms of his expectations on any season. So 87-76 at Texas Relays was huge.
Yeah.
But he's solid with 380-meter efforts on Friday. Like,
Absolutely.
that is great for him in not ideal conditions, but not terrible conditions for javelin.
Yeah, so there you go. Javelin and physics lesson with Professor Kara Winger.
Thank you. And the athlete that I coached, Jackson Morris, he did pretty good too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
For Jackson, it was a 66.49. It's listed as a PB in the live results. I know those can be a little funky sometimes.
His PR is over 74, but he's had a couple years of injury, lots of COVID stuff in college, injuries, all that stuff. But I'm really excited for his future. And of course, I was not coaching him during the event. I was officiating, yes, but he started his season first post-collegiate as well, so really fun to watch him out here.
And then we'll close it out with some really fun hammer competitions on Friday. And Rachel Richeson, 78.80, a 4-meter PB. You know, she was really cooking this indoor season in the weight throw. She went 25 plus, at least, won the U.S. national title, which is a really hard thing to do in the weight because we're kind of the only country that throws it. And then, so we knew she was cooking indoors. Then she comes out. This was her outdoor opener, 78.80. Like, number 5 in world history. We saw number 5 women's hammer, number 5 women's discus marks ever. That was just such a fun throw to see, and her reaction, like, she knew it was big. I talked to her after. She knew it was big. She didn't think it was 78.80 big. So she had the big reaction when it left her hand, and she was like, that's a good throw. But then when the mark actually came in, was just something special.
I absolutely love that for her. You could see the tears in her eyes. You never know how you're going to respond to something like that as an athlete. So it's just absolutely genuine, whatever it becomes. And I loved that. I'm always like smiling behind my clipboard as I continue to flight coordinate and stay neutral as an official. But Rachel got married this fall after a season that she had the Olympic standard going into trials, and then she got 4th place in the last round to Erin Reese, who then got her ranking and got to go to Paris. So every athlete that makes that Olympic team earns it. Every athlete after that for probably 4 places also could have done the same thing. So I've been watching Rachel and thinking, oh my gosh, comeback season, like the redemption that she must be feeling, especially after getting married, changing her name, having this fresh start. It's just incredible to see her do that after a year that I'm sure she felt all of the feelings and missing the Paris Olympic Games.
Yeah, and then closing out kind of that field there, it was a pretty deep comp. We had 5 women over 70. Katrina Jacobson went 73-76 in round 1. That kind of really kick-started it all, and then Rachel just answered that really well. And then the men's competition, it was a fun one. You had the Minnesota duo, Costas Zoltos and Anulos Matsuranis. They go 1-2, 77-12, 76-39. A week after both breaking 77 at Florida Relays, like, whatever they've got cooking in Minnesota is working well. Antoinette Knobway had a huge PB in the women's hammer. Like, they're just fun to watch.
And when you bring a collegiate team to a meet like this and they're beating the professionals, and you can see how much of a team they are, I love that. It makes me want to go back to college, and they have clearly a very good and supportive group, and their coach prioritized this weekend, so incredible results. The men's comp too, were there like 6 men over 74 meters? It was really, really good.
Yeah, 6 exactly. Yeah. Good memory.
I have a creepy memory, Paul. So to see some post-collegians not do so well, Daniel didn't throw super well. Isaiah Rogers also didn't throw super well, but Texas Tanner made the final from the Air Force Academy. Super cool. And Cade McCall. Just like that, a tight competition is something I really love too. So 6 men within 3 meters of each other is incredibly cool and high stakes. And those guys really stepped up, and they'll carry that into the future of this season. Yeah,
and it was 77-12 for Costas, came in round 6. So he was down, I think he was in 4th or 5th. Jumps up to 1st, like you said, against a it was his teammate that was leading it, but it was against a field with a lot of professionals, a lot of really big names in USA Hammer. And I mean, you know, they're Greek, so they have a really strong kind of hammer squad over in Greece right now, aside from just them. So not necessarily shoe-ins for Tokyo, but But yeah, it was just a great competition, and it was really fun to see on Friday the fields, aside from discus, getting a little more filled out than they were last year. And that's something, talking to Caleb, like, he's just excited to see that kind of keep building year over year.
And I will do my best to recruit more javelin throwers moving forward, because I agree.
Kara, that's your duty now for the next years. You need to get more javelin throwers here.
But hammer was super fun. I would love to throw that thing further. I never got to actually compete. My turns were quality, but not very fast, so no problem. Yeah, but incredible. An honor to officiate that. And they were really efficient. There were some delays, some miscommunication, stuff like that, and that's very stressful for me. But again, as an official, I want to absorb all the stress so the athletes can do their job, and they very much did their job.
Yeah. Both discus days got started off with some pretty solid shot put competitions. We'll start with, I guess, yesterday. So we go to Saturday in the men's competition, where Jordan Geist, who's the only guy over 20, but he threw 20.66 after a really good day in the hammer. He was one of those guys over 74 on Friday. And so, yeah, 20.66, like, it's a solid mark. I don't think he was super happy with it, but it's a good strong mark for this point in the season.
And Jordan didn't throw very much indoor, right? Like, he showed up at indoor national championships, and that was kind of his only mark on the season. So he's pretty unflappable, that Jordan Geist. And he took home the prize money, took home the world rankings, and he's kind of out of here. So in a world in which American shot putting kind of dominates the throws world, I want to see them do well, of course. But for that to be sort of the weakest event on the weekend is really interesting to me.
Yeah.
This is for the long throws, Ramona, but I want to see more shot putters here in the future. And Jordan is one of those that is a 22-meter shot putter. He's a fabulous, fabulous athlete, one of the ridiculous talents in the men's shot. It's just the very beginning of the season, and he took home the W anyway.
Yeah, the role he was on after trials last year, he just went to Europe and was just throwing so well. Like, it's going to be fun to see him kind of continue to build back into that form. And, just elite, like, professional level athletes, you don't see a ton still doubling in the throws. And Jordan still throws hammer and shot and gets pretty good distances in both of them. So it's always fun to see him kind of do double duty like he did this weekend.
Yes, and again, unflappable. Like, to have a very solid hammer mark and then show up and shot and do well is really cool. The other shot putter that did that, Veronica Fraley, also threw the shot put. 68-meter discus thrower throwing the shot put today.
And then, the women's winner, another double thrower, maybe not since she had some of her foot problems starting last year, but Maggie Ewan, we know the kind of hammer thrower she is, but she threw 1925, I think, a couple weeks ago in Miami. Really good outdoor opener for her furthest mark since breaking her foot in February last year. She comes out and wins pretty comfortably at 1895 today. The series, she had a couple throws over 18, so pretty solid day for Maggie in a competition that, she wasn't challenged that much necessarily.
Right, winning by over a meter over Jessica Woodard, but Abby Moore, was in second place. And she is a roadie sport athlete, somebody who has been at Ramona for the last couple of years, Abby Moore, and Jess Woodard coming back from injury as well. But yes, for Maggie to have that foot injury, show up for the indoor season, make the world championship team indoor, and then be a part of the throws community here in Ramona and take home the win is really cool. But Abby Moore, a staple of Throwtown, and a very lovely human being.
Yeah, and then with Maggie building back, it just continues to cloud the American women's shot put, because you got the facility record holder here, Raven Saunders, you got Chase Jackson, you got Jada Ross, who's now done competing as an Oregon Duck, and you've got, Adelaide is still putting out some really big marks. It's so deep. Jessica Ramsey, who was, got the wild card berth into the world indoors, like, it's the level of American shot putting. It's interesting seeing these events where there are countries that are so deep. It's like, if you're going to do like a distance running comparison or something, it's like the Kenyans or the Ethiopians, and pretty much any of the Ethiopian women's marathon, you see they have 80 people that get the standard every year. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so it's not necessarily that deep, but the top end talent we have in the throws here, and obviously the men's and the women's shot put in the U.S. But then, we're building that in the hammer. We have, with Rachel Richeson now, we have 3 of the 5 best women in history. And none of them were the ones that won a medal last year in Paris, because that was in net. It's fun to see just these countries that have where their national championships are almost as good as the global championships.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And the thing that I love about officiating, watching events like this, the women's shot at Town Ramona, is there's a story in every single one of those athletes, to your point. So many standards on the women's side, so many standards on the men's side. And also somebody like Jessica Woodard, who's coming back from the back injury. Her coach and boyfriend, Darrell Hill, two-time Olympian, one-time Olympian. Rio, edit that out. Darrell, adore him. Darrell Hill, they moved to the University of Delaware, and Jess being coached by Darrell, coming off that injury. I know for me personally, if I'm happy at home, I'm going to be better as an athlete, and that's what I'm looking for from Jess. But those comeback stories are just where my heart is at, and there are endless amounts of those in all of the throws, but you just got to look for them, you just got to watch, you just got to be a fan kind of at every level of these events, because we have lots of standards, but we have lots of people that could get the standard too, and that was evident in the shot put here at Ramona.
Absolutely. So now, we're wrapping it up. Just what a weekend. If you have to give a selling point to people to come to this meet next year, not that it needs one because of what happened here about 2 hours ago, what would you say?
A bronze meet on American soil with good prize money isn't to be missed. The weather the last 2 years has been gorgeous and hot, and it's my first suntan of the year. But in a world in which we have Grand Slam track, we have focus on track, come here to put the focus on throws. That's my message. I feel like this weekend gets more important the further we get into events like Grand Slam track that are excluding the field events. So this is a place for field events only. Come enjoy it as a thrower.
Yeah, it's a special place. It's a special thing they've got going on here at Milliken Field at Town Ramona, and there's no signs the momentum's stopping. World records 2 years in a row. Maybe we'll get more than one next year. But for now, what a weekend. We're going to be thinking about this probably until, Town, they've got competitions here all year. Maybe not some of this level necessarily, but they'll be running competitions basically every weekend. So make sure you stay tuned to those results for some more big throws. But care if you've got nothing else left to add, then it's been Paulie Throws and Kara Winger coming for you from Town Ramona. And I guess we'll see you next year.
Thank you, Town.